Hello, today we are here to discuss the White Castle, not a White Castle, not...
Or the restaurant.
Right, not the restaurant. Yeah.
Although we do like White Castles.
Yeah, not just in general castles that happen to be white, but
this specific, the White Castle.
Yes. So if you are interested in board games and would like to follow along as we journey through our collection of 3,000 games, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell down there so you can watch and enjoy and mock us.
That's right.
Because we like to be mocked.
We do.
Okay. All right. So, Rob, what can you tell us?
All right. So this is a 2023 release. It's rated pretty well. It's got an 8.0 on Board Game Geek, and overall rank is 299. So for a brand new game being already in the top 1,000, it's pretty impressive. It plays 1 to 4 people in about 80 minutes. Took us a little bit longer than that, but we had a lot of kind of stops. So that's pretty accurate, I think. Ages 12 and up. Designed by, I guess, Isra C and Shay S. Don't know what the last names are, just C and S. And then art by Joan Gardier, published by Devir Games. We've got a couple different price points. MSRP is $39.99. Card House had it $31.95. A new gaming company or seller that I've never heard of, J&J Gaming Factory.
Wow.
They're selling it for $30.39.
Didn't they perform music, like rock music or pop music in the 80s?
No, that's
CNC Music Factory.
CNC Music Factory, right? Yeah. Different letters. So.
And different style of games versus music. Yeah.
But Geek Market, somebody on there had it cheapest at $30.
Okay. So let's talk about what you get in the box. So first of all, for a small box game, I have to say the component quality in this is above what I would expect.
And a lot of it.
Yeah. So you actually have these assemble yourself bridges that actually go together and stay together. Really
That's
well.
the most important part.
I was impressed with. I mean, I don't like the art projects in general when you first get a game out, but this one didn't bother me because it went together so well,
and it fits very tightly. Yeah. So it stays together very well. I didn't even think about using glue.
There's no peeling, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
There's screen printing in custom for every player on their player pieces, and there's a really cool round marker that looks like a koi fish.
Yeah, koi fish jumping out of the water.
Or jumping into the water and losing or having its head severed. I mean, it doesn't have
either or. Yeah.
All of your pieces are custom shaped for, I mean, everybody's got the same pieces, but you have 3 different styles of, farmers that have a little rake, and then you got military with a sword.
Little sword.
And then your courtiers have nothing. They're just, that's farmer.
They got their arms outreached like they're welcoming you or something.
Yeah, so they're going into the castle. You say, go on a date?
Yeah, let's go on a date.
Okay.
Courtiers.
Wasn't expecting that voice, but okay. So you have a bunch of dice that are basically, they're all 3-toned, white, black, and orange. And that's important because they match the bridges for a significant reason.
That's right.
And then you have...
lots of little cards.
Yeah, lots of little cards.
Kind of like the mini Euro size cards.
Yeah, they
don't
really have any kind of linen finish on them as far as the cards go, but yeah, you do have a bunch of little tiny decks of cards.
You got some cardboard, not very much, but you got some cardboard.
Yeah, and you do have a player board that has it's not inlaid per se. It's just got it's just punched through so you can move it, but it works the same as an inlay.
It does.
It does curl a bit, but it's not horrible.
I think the board curls more than the player board.
Mine's actually pretty curled at the edges.
Yeah, mine's not. So. Yeah. And I don't know about my copy. I opened it up and separated everything, but I haven't got to play my copy yet.
Yeah. Now, the coins I was a little disappointed in, so we didn't use them. We ended up using the clay chips that we usually use whenever we're not satisfied with the grade of the coins. But they have like little ones that are circular.
Kind of like the old-fashioned Japanese coins.
Yeah.
With a hole punched out in the middle.
5s that are more ovular shaped. So, yeah, I mean, nothing exciting about those. Given the components and the price point, I'm probably going to go ahead and give this a 7 because of all the screen printing and, the bridge assembly. I think that, it deserves that.
I think I'm a little bit higher because even full price at $39.99, you get a lot of cool stuff. And I think it's pretty good high quality. Devir, again, doesn't disappoint. We've been pretty happy with most of their games. So I'm a 7.5.
All right. Moving on to theme. So this is obviously
it's a Japanese
theme. Yeah. You're basically doing different functions, assigning your dice. It's a dice placement game, so you're going to be assigning dice to different areas of the board to place workers. I mean, obviously, things that are on the board are relevant to the Japanese culture,
Right.
but it's really not track movement, but basically dice selection and taking actions that are going to move you up the scoring charts. Or
the mechanics doesn't really fit the theme.
Yeah.
So in that part, it's kind of layered on. But, I mean, the artwork is really nice on the board. I like the artwork on your player board. And, again, the quality of the meeples themselves are pretty good. So
yeah, and the iconography is pretty easy to interpret.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
There's a few that are a little more cryptic, but they have a nice cheat sheet on the back of the book. I would like to have seen this on player sheets, but
I don't even know if that's necessary, because I didn't need to use it at all. I was able to ask you answered it quickly, and that's all I needed it for. So I don't think this game needs player sheets personally.
Yeah. The only we'll get to the rules here in a minute. So as far as theme, I'm probably going to go ahead and give this probably a 6.5. I think somewhere in there, because it's not heavy, but the art is decent. And as far as just all the pieces, the custom shaping of the pieces, I think is more thematic than anything. You got the herons
and that's the reason why I think I'm a smidgen up, just an even 7.
Okay.
Because the cutout pieces are really nice, especially the wooden bits of it, and I do like the art quite a bit.
All right. So moving on to the rule book. So the rule book is, it's a small box game, so the rule book is small as well. It's a 20-page rule book, but the actual gameplay of this is not that complex. There's a few little complexities in it, but it actually only goes to page 14. There's some, nice pictorial examples on scoring and different actions. Then you have the solitaire mode. It's after that, and then the iconography. So there's most of the rule book is basically walking you through the various actions, because the main icons of the board, whenever you place your dice, are going to trigger different things. It's not that confusing. The only thing that was left out that we felt like should have been in there was when you're taking dice off the bridges, you can only take from either end. You can't take from the ones that are on the bridge. And when you take them, you move the die that's closest to the end whichever side you took from.
Right.
And if you're down to one die, does that count as the high or the low? Because there's different actions you get based upon whether you take the high or the low die. And if it's the only die that's left, does it count as high, low, or does it count as both?
Or do you get to pick?
Yeah, given the way it's phrased, we interpreted it to be that
the last die would always be on the high end.
Well, no, it would be whichever one you took it from. If there were 2 dice left and you took the low die, it would move to the low one. Right. If you took it, from the high side.
And I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So but it wasn't clearly stated that way.
And we looked online and we looked through the rule book and we couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, I think that's probably what was intended just from reading through it, but it would have been nice if it was clarified and specified.
But it does make sense to do it that way. So I was comfortable with that decision.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give this rule book probably an 8, because it is fairly quick to the table, quick to understand the game. Now, what you're going to find once you get an understanding of it is the game's going to go way faster than you thought it was going to go.
Yes, and there's actually more meat than what you might initially think.
Yes. So be prepared for that when you first get this out. If you're thinking this is going to be a long game, it's not.
It's not.
And it's going to you're going to feel like you just got started and the game's going to end. Yeah, as far as rulebook, I think 8's a fair score. So
sounds good.
Moving on to gameplay. So the game starts out, you're going to take one more dice than the number of players, and you're going to roll them and place them on the matching colored bridge, whether it be orange, black, or white. You're going to have a bunch of cards that are from different decks that are chosen randomly for your bridge, for the farmers, for the castle, and then
military. You've
got tokens for the military.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have for every player, you're going to have cards in sets of 2 where you get to draft reverse turn order from. One's going to be your starting resources, and then the other is kind of an ongoing action you can take when you take a board action. So you're going to place those, and then all your meeples are going to cover up all the icons on your board, basically. You got various stat trees for your amount of rice, steel, and I guess it's pearls. I don't know, mother of pearl or pearls.
Sure.
Yeah. So those are your resources you're going to be spending throughout the game in addition to coin. So whenever you take an action, there's always going to be dice at the beginning of the game locked in the middle of the bridge, and there'll be ones on either side of the bridge. You can choose from the unlocked ones on either side of the bridge, but you cannot choose from the ones in the middle of the bridge. So if I were to choose like this one over here, I now have an orange pip or orange die with 1 pip that I can assign to any location that an orange die can go, which most of these locations are agnostic of color.
Right.
Your player board actually has specified colors, so if I choose to play it there, I have to match the color. But more importantly, since I have a 1, if I play it here, I got to pay 5 coin because
it requires a 6.
It requires a 6. So if I play a die to a space that has a number higher than what I have to pay the difference in coin.
If it's lower, you get that much money.
Yeah, so you can actually make money off certain spaces. So, for example, there's a space where any number of people can go, where if you go there, it's always a 1. So if you play anything higher than a 1, you're automatically going to make money. In addition, you'll get, this is the wishing well, and you'll get other things along with it. So there's tokens that are placed on the board randomly at the beginning of the game. On one side, it has different colored cubes, which represent the dice. And the other side, it has different icons that go into the wishing well face up.
So, and I guess that's probably where I would say, and you might agree, that's probably where it's only fiddliness in the game. Because you said in your first game that there wasn't an opportunity to really do a lot of comboing, because every section had distinct one color each in each section. So when you did a color, you got to do action. Whereas you have 2 white cubes, then a white die allows you to do 2 white actions. Yeah. So I think that's probably, because of that, that's probably the only fiddliness I'd see.
Yeah, your game is definitely going to be very altered based upon that distribution, because the first time we played, we got only 1 combination, as you mentioned, of 2 colors of the same color for the dice. If you end up in a location where, if you have that happen, it's very hard to combo. This game is all about triggering combinations. So when we played the first time, it was not only was it super short, but it was fairly painful because it felt like we weren't getting anything accomplished. But then again, we also didn't understand some of the strategy in the game. I still don't personally understand much of the strategy of the game, but Miranda's already seemed to nail it.
Yeah, she did very well. I did very poorly.
Yeah, so did I. So, when basically the different actions you can take, there's going to be actions that will let you place workers into different areas. So on the board, you've got 3 different regions. You've got where the knights go, which is into the, I don't know if you call it
they're like training grounds.
Training grounds. Yeah, they're training grounds. So you can, if you take that action, it requires a 5 or higher on a dice, or you can pay lower and then pay coin difference. And you get to then take one of your workers of the type that's on your board, play it to one of the regions, pay whatever food or resources it costs. In the case of the knight, it's specifically the anvils, which is steel. So presumably you're building their weaponry or armor. And you're going to place it on one of the locations, and you'll get a placement bonus when you play there. Any number of people can go to those. There's no competition between you and any other players. So when you go there, you trigger, there's 2 that are lower costs that give you 1 benefit, and then there's 1 that's higher cost that gives you 2 benefits for going there. And you get a multiplier at the end of the game for placing there for how many people you have in your castle. So depending on if those kind of pair together, so you want to have, if you're going to the knights, you want to balance that with having people in the castle. Rob found that out the hard way.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of knights, but he had nobody in the castle. So he got a multiplier.
I had 1 at the gate, which didn't give me any points.
Well, it gave you a point.
But I'm saying the combo with the training ground wasn't there.
Have to actually be in the castle. So speaking of the castle, the castle action, you can pay coin to put people here. It's 2 coins to put a courtier on the gate, and then once they're on the gate in a future round, if you take that action, you can pay the mother of pearl or pearls or whatever it is you can pay 2 of them to move 1 level or 5 to move 2 levels. And when you move up the track, whatever spot you land on, you get to take the card from the space. Whereas that will replace the card that you started with on your board. It goes down here and it becomes a bonus action you can take whenever you trigger the lighthouse, which we'll get to in a moment. So you would take that card, put it here as a new card for your board, and then we would flip another one to replace it, and now it's changed the effect of that location. You want to strategically try to pick ones you think are going to be beneficial to you, but it also just getting them is going to add more actions to make your lighthouse even more powerful. Yeah. And it's one of the most common things you're going to trigger in the game, because anytime you take a low die, you're going to trigger the lighthouse as a free action. So, in many cases, as the dice start filtering, you're going to end up with situations where the high and the low may be exactly the same or very close. And if so, always take that low one, because you're going to get that bonus action. That's the castle action that will get you victory points based upon how far into the castle you advanced. And if you get to the final spot, you get basically place. If you're one of the first 3, you get to place and get a perk. And at the end of the game, it's worth 10 victory points. In addition, you also trigger the lighthouse action again. And then it combos with your military. Yes. With the training grounds. So the last worker is the farmer. So the farmer, when you play the farmer action, you get, which is one of the actions over here again, they're kind of split up, paired. It's the bridge. Oh, the bridge. It's over here. Yep. So if you do that one, you get to take one of your farmers and you pay based upon which farmland you put on. It's got a price in rice where you have to pay the rice to place there. You pay your cost in rice, and you get, first of all, at the end of the game, it'll give you so many victory points. But it also gives you an ongoing effect at the end of every round, assuming there's dice left on that bridge. So depending on who chooses which dice, you could end up with some of the places that don't trigger. So you got to be strategic with that, because if you're the only one playing on one of the bridges, it's a good chance people are going to take all the dice off of that bridge. Just to stop you from getting that extra action. So you kind of want to mix and mingle with your opponents on the bridges as far as the powers, because you want to make sure you get your abilities, because that is a nice comboing that you get for free. No action required. You just get it at the end of the round. All right, so in addition to that, instead of playing on one of these, I can choose to play a die to one of the spaces in the castle. And if I do that, whatever color I play matches to colors of dice that are there. I'll get to trigger all of the ones that match the same color. So in this case, there's 1 white and 2 orange. So if I played this orange die here, I would get, if this is a 5, it says it's a 3 pip requirement, I would get 2 coin, plus I would get to take one of the little flower tokens. Flower petal, yeah. And I think they're called daimyo, some kind of daimyo symbol or something. And then you get a victory point, and then I can pay one of these to play a bridge action. So it's a nice combo between the two. You can do both. It's just coincidental the 2 oranges are on there, because they could have been mixed any other different way. Now, what I wouldn't want to do is choose the black die and put it there, because I would get nothing for it, because... I get the coin differential if I played a 5 or a 6 or something, but... Yeah, and I guess you could do that. Yeah. You could always put it down here and get more money. Yeah. If that's what you're looking for. It's kind of a waste. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're going to get what you want based on the color of the die you choose. The other thing is you can stack dice. So I could go there if I was later in a turn and I had this white 5. I could put it on top of that orange. The price is, there's 5 and a 5, so I don't have to pay any difference. I don't make any money either, but now I could take the white action at the top. So you can go too high. You cannot go higher than 2 on any spot, but you can stack them on top of another existing die. So they're not completely blocked by somebody putting a die on any of these locations. Those are the main actions you can take on your turn. And you get 3 actions per turn. Yes, 3 actions per round. And then you get 3 rounds. Yeah, and like I said, some of those actions will trigger bonus actions. Particularly like if you take the low numbers, you're going to get to trigger all the cards you've played as far as the icons on them for your lighthouse effect. So you start the game with 1 automatically.
Right.
But in this case, Miranda's built hers up. She would get a rice, a heron, which determines turn order and also as a track for victory point scoring at the end of the game. She gets a coin and a victory point just by playing.
But every time she does a lighthouse action.
Yeah, so just by taking a low die, she would get that for free.
Yeah.
Not to mention where you place might give you another lighthouse action too.
Absolutely.
So, you can set up your board to do all that. Thing is, you only get 9 total actions in the game. It's 3 rounds, 3 actions. So you got to get those actions set up quickly in order to get that combo in.
Yeah.
And that's something I didn't do very well. Yeah. Miranda was the master of it.
I was able to do my military really quickly, but I didn't know about comboing it with the courtisans into the castle, so I didn't get to take advantage of it.
Courtiers, actually.
Yeah, courtiers, yeah.
Courtesans would be something entirely different.
Different country.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot, at the beginning of the game, it looked like you were kind of featured in the knights area.
Yeah.
You were dominating there. I thought I was dominating the castle and the track.
Farms.
The track of the herons was the 2 I was kind of going for. In the end, Miranda ended up dominating all of it.
Yeah.
Because she ended up getting more points than anybody in any of those locations because of the way she comboed. So, it
wasn't fair.
No.
So.
It kind of sucked.
It did.
Yeah. To see somebody take over and take advantage of every possible scoring thing at once, after only playing it 2 times.
And I should be used to it by now.
Yeah, with her, yeah. So, as far as gameplay, I mean, it's an interesting game. I think that, there was a lot of thought put into this.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not like games that end abruptly, this is probably going to be a frustrating game for you. It's,
it can feel like right when you think that things are turning, it's game over.
Yeah.
So it can feel like that.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful World. That's the way it is. It's the same way, and I like that. It means
it makes you have to pay attention to what actions you're doing and how you time it.
Right.
And if you don't do it right, you fail like I did.
Yeah, you're building your engine. It's gonna stop before you want it to. You don't process the engine. Now, Miranda's family would hate this game because they alter the rules of It's a Wonderful World so that they have 6 rounds.
Yeah, you get 2 extra rounds.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous. Yeah, their scores are outrageous because of that. So I do not like playing against the rules like that. But this game is definitely one that if you don't like to have your engine stopped before it ever gets started, this is one that's going to be frustrating.
But I think that's the tension that I like in the game.
Well, I think it is because you're forced into making some quick decisions on how do you set yourself up as fast as possible.
Yeah, and a lot of times you realize that when it's too late, that you made that decision incorrectly.
Yeah.
So,
and then this is also one that you're going to think about after you finish the game. And
this will definitely reward multiple playthroughs.
Yeah. So I don't think it's one you can sit down and after playing a couple times. It's one you're going to be playing several times back to back to try to figure out the strategy.
Yeah, and there's enough variety that it will not get samey. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, Devir is a company that I almost always trust is going to come out with at least a good, if not a great
starting
game.
This year. I mean, I didn't have anything by them until I bought 3 Ring Circus, I think was the first one I bought. For me.
I've had several.
And so every game since then, though, has really been very impressive. So Devir is quickly becoming one of my favorite publishers. Yeah. They're up there with Capstone.
Yeah, I'd say Capstone and Devir are my 2 favorites as well. And I mean, you like...
but I like Stonemaier.
Stonemaier
and I like
Stonemaier's good too. Yeah. And definitely quality components and all of that. Sometimes their games don't feel a little balanced, but I still like them. But this one I think is going to hit the table a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Just out of sheer frustration with the fact that Miranda's dominating it, I'm going to have to play it again
just to be able to beat her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as my score on this, I think I'm going to probably give this one. I think I'm going to give it an 8 at this point. I think it might grow on me even more to make it a higher.
I'm thinking the exact same thing. I think I'm an 8 right now, but I think if I can convince them to play it more often, which we usually don't get to do, I think that score will raise.
Yeah, so I think, like I said, more plays. I don't think it's going to go down any. I think it's going to go up. I mean, eventually, if I played it like nonstop and didn't ever play anything else, I might get bored with it, and at that point. But yeah, it's definitely one that's going to get a lot of play.
I agree.
So, All right. Well, that's our thoughts on White Castle. Oh, one should also point out it's very small. You can take this very easily on a trip.
Sure.
So I mean, I like.
But you have to have a decent playing space because even though it's a small box, it spreads out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something. But usually, when you get a game like this, that's this size, it's usually not a good game, or it's not going to be deep.
Well, and that's the other thing too. I mean, all this fills up the box, so you have very little room. So they do a good job of utilizing that space.
Yeah,
a lot of times you get a box of size, and there's a lot of empty.
Yeah,
there's just nothing in it. But yeah, this fills it up.
All right, so. Well, that's our thoughts on White Castle. So,
what do you think if you got to play it?
Yeah, and what's your favorite Devir game?
Or what's your favorite color castle?
Yeah, or what kind of sliders do you get when you go to the White Castle?
Too.
All right. So until next time, make sure you keep on enjoying White Castles and you
with Big Red.
Follow us on that subscription. All right, bye.
Bye.